Hello everyone, and welcome to the 5th Q&A with me, SerialK86. So you already know how the format of these kind of videos goes. I ask my subscribers and friends to leave me questions in the comments or whatever place I ask them to leave me questions, and I answer them here in this one video. So to mix things up a little bit, I've decided to answer the questions based on these 4 topics. A while ago, I asked people on both the announcement video and on my server to leave me questions for this video. So I'm gonna answer questions from both places, rather than just, the comments of the announcement video. So without further ado, let's get to it. How did you come up with your username, and what got you interested in making YTPs? That's actually a good question. This is technically 2 questions, but I'm gonna answer them as one. So for the first part, of this question, my username is derived from an old username I used to have back when I was in an old message board. That was like a long time ago, that was like over 15 years ago. And it was derivative of this username. So when I finally decided to make my own YouTube channel, that was around 2007. So that was all the way back in 2007. That's how far back it was. I couldn't come up with any other username at the time, so this was the first one that popped into my mind, the Serial Killer 1986. So yeah, that's the name that first popped in my mind. I couldn't come up with any other name, and that was my username from 2007 all the way until 2014, when I decided to shorten it to SerialK86. That's about it. Also, you're probably wondering why Serial Killer, perhaps. The message board I was part of, it was kind of like violent gore, creepy stuff at the time, and I was a bit of an edgy teen at the time, so my name was supposed to be something that was fitting for that message board. That message board doesn't exist anymore, by the way. Yeah, my username is supposed to be a relic of this one message board that doesn't exist anymore. And by the way, I'm not into edgy, extra gory, bloody, edgy stuff like I used to be back in the old days. That stuff, it's not like I'm super squeamish, but also I'm not, I'm not a bloodhound as they usually call them, like I used to back in the old days. And as a reminder, the K in my name doesn't stand for killer anymore. It stands for kyanite. And why kyanite in particular? I don't know. I just googled for a name of a gemstone that starts with the letter K, and that's the first results I found. So yeah, I roll with it. As for what got me into making YTPs, basically watching the work of other YTPers after I discovered their work, like The Things, CS188, and Catan the Van. I've been starting watching YTPs around 2011, when I first discovered the works of The Things in CS188 and other YTPers. But it wasn't until Catan the Van, formerly Katana Soul, that inspired me to become a YTPer myself. What were you making before YTPs? Aside from some weird meme videos, some real-life videos I took with my camera that are no longer public on my channel right now, some gameplay footage that I occasionally shared from my PS3, not much really. What YTPers inspired you to make YTPs? From the top of my head, The Things, CS188, and Catan the Van, formerly Katana Soul. I'm pretty sure there are others, but yeah, but those 3 are the main reason I became a YTPer more than 10 years ago. If you could remake any of your videos, which one would it be? I honestly never thought about remaking any of my videos. There are moments where I rewatched some of my old videos and I considered, maybe I should have used that joke, or maybe I could have used a better timing to execute that joke. But remaking any of my old YTPs? No. never considered it. What's your favorite YTP you have ever made? This may come as a little bit of a surprise to some people, because this YTP is not one of my top 10 most viewed YTPs I've ever made, but I'd easily say Bone of the Zenders, my entry for the fourth and last I Love Video Games collab. This YTP easily represents my current style. It's a pretty good showcase for my skills as a YTPer when it comes to visuals, humor, my musical taste, etc. Either that or the class of 1997, the Heaven's Gate YTP. That one has probably, it's probably one of the YTPs that, outside of my Rosen YTPs, that I put a lot of effort into sentence mixing into it. So yeah, I'd say one of these two. But I lean a little bit more on the former. How did you discover Michael Rosen? I've already said her name twice, so I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but it's thanks to a YTP by The Things that's titled Michael Rosen Hates Gingers. That was my first exposure to the source. Unfortunately, unlike many of her old YTPs, she set this to private, but she doesn't have any plans to remake it. I personally asked her if she plans to set it to public anytime soon, and she answered by saying no, mainly because, and I'm quoting her here, the premise of the original YTP is mean-spirited. And by mean-spirited, I'm pretty sure she means, you know, it's too mean-spirited to red-headed people, you know, gingers, which was kind of popular around the time thanks to South Park. I tried to look it up on YouTube and on the Internet Archive, and unfortunately I couldn't find it anywhere. So unless someone managed to store it on a hard drive or something, I'm pretty sure it's considered lost media at this point, which is unfortunate, but I understand her reasoning. If you have a favorite effect on YTPs, then what is it? You know, that's something I never thought about, really. I never gave it a thought. You know, I find myself leaning more towards any effect that makes the video quality, that lowers the quality of the video. Like anything that, like JPEG damage, or digital damage, or VHS. Yeah, VHS. I tend to find myself using that effect a lot. Another effect, well, technically not an effect per se, but I also like to mess around with the aspect ratio of a video footage in event pan crop, like stretching the footage and shrinking it rapidly, that sort of thing. And of course, there's also data mosh. That's a classic. As for audio, I tend to switch between vibrato and distortion. I find myself using these two effects the most. Okay, this one's by Fidget. He asks, any anime you've got plans to make YTP or YTP MVs out of? At the moment, I only got two. It's either Sailor Moon, the original 90s Sailor Moon, or Cowboy Bebop. Especially Cowboy Bebop. That's an anime I can see myself, more than likely, that I might make an YTP out of one day. Can Michael Rosen meet 47 again? No. What, you haven't seen the video? He killed him and ate his brain. I don't think there's coming back from this one. Unless someone made a YTP where he's resurrected or something. I don't know, whatever. I'm not making it though. How long did your 10th anniversary collab take to make from first entry to final cut? So I announced the collab sometime on late November of 2022, and for a while, it didn't have a set deadline for accepting entries and when it's gonna come out, which is why for a while I didn't compile the entries until sometime around July of 2023. That was around the time I've decided to make a collab update video, you know, the one with the the one with my own take on the AI president's meme, in which I announced the deadline will be July 29th. And around August, I started compiling all the entries and all that stuff, and I was originally gonna upload the video, the collab, on August 20th. But due to some family related matters and for quality assurance, I had to push it to August 30th. And even though it ended up with some editing issues, for the most part, I'm still proud of it. I'm really grateful that everyone from the community, at least the ones I know, joined in and either repooped or made YTPs based off of my own original videos. And hey, it's the fact that it's almost an hour long, that's nothing to scoff at. So yeah, I'm really grateful for everyone who joined this collab. It's definitely one of the highlights of last year. So for everyone who joined this collab, yeah, once again, thank you very much for being part of it. Really appreciate it. If you had to pick your favorite top 5 YTPs, what would they be and why? Man, see, this is why I hate top 5 something or top 10 questions. And if there's any kind of questions I have a hard time answering, it will be top 5 or top 10 lists. I can't figure out how to properly answer these questions. So I'm gonna try to answer this one by doing my best to compile 5 of my favorite YTPs of all time, in no particular order. For the record, I'm doing this off the cuff, so I didn't write a script for this part. That's because there's a lot of parts where I pause and stutter and repeat myself a lot during this part. So if you see a lot of cuts during this part, that's why. Number 1. Akira battles Darth Izumi in front of a house by Abu Not. This YTP was way ahead of their time. The pacing of their YTPs is hard to follow. They go at neck-beard. They go at neck-breaking speed. But despite this, they're just so well executed. And I really miss seeing YTP makers who make YTPs like Jay. There's barely anyone like them. Number 2. Planet Mafia Ministry by Chi-Chi, formerly Professor Cheeseballs. I could have picked a lot of YTPs by Chi-Chi, but I had to settle with one, and if I had to settle with only one, I'm gonna go with Planet Mafia Ministry. A perfect representation of his style. People in the community tend to talk about YTPers like Jimmy Davis, or MP Carlson, or The Things, or Really Tall Bart. And I'm not saying those YTPers aren't great in their own right, but I feel like Chi-Chi doesn't get enough credit for their work. His work is inspirational to a lot of YTPers that I know of. At least ones who are close to his style at least. And I think he deserves more recognition in the community. Number 3. The Ideal NFL Team by Noise Puppet. Yet again, I could have picked any YTP made by Noise Puppet. His work isn't like nothing else. Between the source choices, his heavy focus on sentence mixing, Noise Puppet is a league of his own. Number 4. 500% by Uncle Sam Eagle. I was conflicted whether I go with this one, or the plane ride was stupid, Shivovish, or the Japanese Spider-Man YTP that he made. But I had to eventually settle on this one. Uncle Sam Eagle barely uploads nowadays, but his type of YTPs is the kind of YTPs I would love to watch and make more often. And finally, for number 5, Michael's brain implodes due to lack of creativity by Fishtine64. I was conflicted whether I go with this one of the mini Blues Clues YTPs that she made, or one of the D6 YTPs that she made. But I had to settle on one, and if I had to go with only one of Isabel's YTPs, I had to go with this one. I watched this back in 2014 when it first dropped, and it blew my mind back then, and to this day, whenever I watch it, I'm like, this is something else. And I'll be honest, Fear and Loathing in Hackney, my presumably last Frozen YTP that I made back in 2015, was partially inspired by this one. But then again, there's a lot of stuff that was directly or indirectly inspired by Isabel's work. So yeah, those are 5 of my favorite YTPs. I could have picked a lot of YTPs from other YTPers. You know, stuff by Hori Coaster, Frozen Cereal, Defcon Johnson, Deepercut, Dan Fango, Corbo Productions, Shroomhead1, Durham Marker Z, Vor Cannibal, or Stuart K. Riley, or even by Gebuchan. But I had to settle on only 5. So this was hard. This list was hard for me to make. But I tried my best. So at least you know 5 of my favorite YTPs. So I guess we're done with the YTP related questions, so let's move on to the next category, music related questions. What's your opinion on French house? It's probably my favorite subgenre of house music. I don't listen to it as often as I do back in the day, but I'll still dig a cool French house album every once in a while. Obviously, we have to thank Daft Punk for revolutionizing this subgenre of house. And hey, if it wasn't for French house, future funk, one of my favorite subgenres of music, wouldn't exist nowadays. So yeah. What's some of your favorite intelligent drum and bass albums as of this Q&A? Yeah, I'm gonna recommend 4 albums. Devil Killer by Dan Mason, Strawberry Computer Entertainment Europe by Strawberry Station, and both Level Select and Polygon Island by Pizza Hotline. While the former two has elements of jungle into them, the latter are definitely pure intelligent drum bass. And all four albums has motifs and aesthetic that are inspired by 5th and 6th generation consoles like the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, that sort of thing, which is right up my alley. I highly recommend listening to these 4 albums. What is your opinion on synthwave? I like synthwave. Some of my favorite synthwave artists are Home, obviously, Mitch Murder, Carpenter Brute, OSC, and who else is there? And I think we can count Bloodwave. My favorite subgenre of synthwave has to be darkwave, since it's it's the genre I became familiar with the first time I stumbled upon this genre, thanks to games like the Hotline Miami games. And the reasons I dig this genre is, well, yeah, it reminds me a lot of the 80s, one of my favorite decades. Since, the genre itself is inspired by synth music from that decade. So yeah, synthwave, good shit. Ever played a musical instrument for school or college, i.e. band class? If not, what would you play if you did? For the first part, no. But if I did, I'd probably go with something basic like the guitar or the piano. Probably the latter, I think, since most of the music I tend to enjoy tend to lean on the electronic side of things. So I probably would have been a piano player. If I was, I probably would have been into drums. But I never learned how to play an instrument, so who knows. Would you ever attend any Future Funk / Vaporwave party events or consider being open to do visuals at one? If you decide on either, I highly recommend Yoitoki. I actually had to look up what Yoitoki is, and it looks like a fun Vaporwave / Future Funk event. Unfortunately, I can't attend it because I live way far from, where this event usually occurs. That's 1, and 2, I'm not much of a party guy. Being open to do visuals at one, though, that sounds tempting. Maybe one day, but I'm not sure. Also, you've already asked me this question on my server, and I've already gave you my answer for this question, but I thought I'd have to answer this again in public. For the record, this isn't the first time I've been invited to do Vaporwave / Future Funk visuals for a group before. I've been approached to do stuff like that a few times before, and I had to decline every time. Mainly because 1, YouTube poop is where my heart at, or should I say, where the poop is. And second of all, I need to have a few music videos under my belt first, before I can, do stuff like that. So maybe one day, but who knows. Since I know how much you love Vaporwave, what would you consider to be your top 5 favorite Vaporwave albums? Another top 5 question. I see. I can handle this one. This one should be a little easier to answer, so I made up a list of 5 of my favorite Vaporwave albums, in no particular order, because I can't do proper top 5 lists. So here we go. Number 1, Floral Shop by Macintosh Plus. Yeah, I know, that's the meme album. Even if you haven't heard the entire album, you probably recognize the second track, Lisa Frank 420 or whatever. Even if you don't know its name, you probably heard it in countless memes. But yeah, this entire album, while simple as it in its production, there's a reason why it's considered one of the most influential albums in the genre. Macintosh Plus, aka Vectroid, is a genius. Number 2, Summer Paradise by Architecture in Tokyo. This is technically my first Vaporwave album that I've ever fully listened to. It technically belongs to the Molsoft subgenre of Vaporwave, but it is quite the experience to listen to, especially if you're walking in an area with a lot of minimal spaces at a hotel or an airport or something. It is worth listening to. Number 3, Purgatory by Cobalt Road. I had to pick at least one album that represents the vapor trap subgenre of Vaporwave, and it was either this one or the self-titled album by Blank Banshee. The other meme album. But I had to settle with this one because this one is simple in nature, but it's a perfect representation of the subgenre of Vaporwave. I love it to death. Number 4.
Good morning, America. I'm Charles Gibson.
I'm Diane Sawyer, and it's Tuesday, September.
News at 11 by Cat System Corp. Cat System Corp is considered the godfather of the mole-soft genre of vaporwave, and he made plenty of albums and EPs, and not only mole-soft, but also in various subgenres of vaporwave in general. But if I had to pick one album, I had to go with this one. This mostly belongs in the, I think in the broken transmission subgenre of vaporwave, but it is quite the mood to listen to. Especially if you know what the samples, what most of the samples that are used are actually from, because there's a bit of a dark, unsettling feeling listening to it, especially if you know where the samples that is featured in this album are from. If it wasn't obvious, it's they're all samples from morning shows that were aired during that one tragic event that happened in the United States over 20 years ago. You know the one. But it's quite the interesting experience listening to it. And the fifth and final album on this list, Girls Only by XpkTt, aka George Clanton. George Clanton is one of the most influential artists in the vaporwave genre, not only for his unique take on the genre, but the fact that he doesn't just rely on sampling, he also add a lot of original composition to his work, and there's a lot of good stuff that he made in the past, whether it's under the XpkTt moniker or under his real stage name, and there's other stage names and real name, because he's quite the talent, because he covered his style, takes elements from other genres, like other musical genres, like I think it's called hypnogenic pop, I think, yeah, and with a little bit of a shoegaze sprinkled in there. His work as XpkTt is in general is worth listening to, but if you have to go with one, go with Girls Only. And that's my list for my 5 of my favorite vaporwave albums. There's a lot of albums that I could have mentioned, but these are the 5 that I consider the top that I've listened to a lot. And I know my picks are a little bit on the cliched and predictable side of things, but I don't care, whatever. If you barely listen to any vaporwave album, yeah, check these 5 albums first. If you liked listening to what you heard, yeah, maybe vaporwave is the genre for you. Do you have any guilty pleasures music that you are willing to share? Nah, I don't think so. What's your favorite mashup that you've made? I'd say it's the latest mashup that I made, Find You Tunak Tunaktun, the Sonic Frontiers Tunak Tunaktun mashup that I made, that I uploaded a couple months ago. I'm quite proud of that one. Have you ever considered making your own music outside of mashups? Well, that's a very good question, Isabel. I actually made some music between late 2020 and 2021. It's on my own artist account on Bandcamp. I made a vaporwave album, a broken transmission EP, and a lo-fi hip-hop single. They're all available on my Bandcamp, free of charge. But you do have the option of chipping in a little something if you want. I'm even gonna leave a link to go check them out if you want to. And I guess that's it for the music-related questions. So let's move on to the next topic, video games. What is your favorite video game? Favorite video game? I honestly can't give a straight answer to this one. You know what? Just check my backlog page. I'm gonna leave a link down below. There you're gonna see all the games that I like. I love a lot of video games. I can't just stick with 1 or 2 games. What is the worst / most disappointing game ever played? From the top of my head, I can only mention 1 game. And that was like, what, over 20 years ago? That would be Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. I played that game back in like, what, 2001? And it really felt like a cheap knockoff of the original 3 games by Insomniac Games. Unsurprising considering it was not made by Insomniac Games, it was made by a studio that was recently formed and was pushed by Universal to make this game within 12 months. So not only they were pressured to make this game in a short amount of time, just so they can release and sell it for the holiday season of 2001. And you can tell it was rushed, because it had a lot of cut content and it had glitches up the wazoo. I just didn't like what I played, which is why I only played it once and never touched it again. and why it's easily considered one of the worst games in the series, to the point where it's sometimes compared to Sonic 06. But I think this game's even worse. At least Sonic 06 had some potential. Enter the Dragonfly didn't have any of that. And that's pretty much the only answer I could come up with, because I tend to be picky when it comes to playing games that are considered that are rated bad or mixed. So I'm a little careful when it comes to that department. And I try to be as objective as possible when it comes to that sort of thing. Intending on playing 1900 Cult? Maybe? I mean, I saw the trailers. It looks like a fun conversion modification of the Hotline Miami games. And I've already added to my wish list, so who knows, I might give this a shot when it comes out. And finally, this question by Fonzop. He asks, I think you're a fan of Kirby. Gee, you think? What's your favorite copy ability in a Kirby game? I'd say either the fighter ability or Beetle. But I'm leaning a little bit towards fighter. Because fighter is one of the most versatile abilities for Kirby. You could pull all kinds of combos and attacks while having it. It really comes in handy during boss fights. Honorable mentions goes to the sword ability and hammer. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the video game related questions. So I guess we have the miscellaneous questions. Yeah, let's move on to that last section of the Q&A. Let's answer some miscellaneous questions. What is your favorite decade of all time? You know, for a while I considered saying the 80s, but recently I've been more interested in the 1990s nowadays, especially the mid to late 90s. Not that I say that I hate the 1980s, but I'd say it depends on the day asking me this question. So for now, I'd say the 1990s. I like the 1980s and 90s, but I'm kind of leaning towards the 90s nowadays. Any languages you can speak? Aside from my native language and being fluent in English, yeah, that's about it. I'm bilingual. What's your favorite anime? There's a lot of good anime I've watched in the last few years, but because that was the show I've been referencing a lot in the last few years, I'm gonna go the easy way out and say JoJo. And I've already mentioned the other two shows, but yeah, I'd say 90s Sailor Moon and Cowboy Bebop. These are the only shows that I've watched recently, and yeah, I'm pretty picky when it comes to what kind of anime I watch, especially nowadays. So yeah, these are the only other shows that I can mention. And if I really need to stretch it and add one more show, I'd say 1980s Fist of the North Star. Even though I never finished watching it, but I liked what I watched. But yeah, perhaps one day I'm gonna watch the entire thing. What is your favorite food dish of all time? You know what? There's a lot of food I like, but I'm gonna go with the chicken tenders and fries. Shout out to fried chicken and pizza though. Also love me a good bowl of ramen. And sushi. Sushi is also good. What are your favorite YouTubers that are not YouTube poopers? That's a good question. They're mostly gaming YouTubers. My favorites are Kadikarus, some call me Johnny, Ed Dude, Jay's Reviews, Stephanie Sterling, Matt McMuscles, The Gaming Historian, Stop Skeletons from Fighting, Super Bunny Hop, Draft Guy, oh, and of course, Working Man Games, the game reviewing show by Stuart K. Riley. And of course, we can't forget about that one particular upset video game enthusiast. But there are also other YouTubers who don't necessarily cover video games that I'm a fan of, like Wang, Todd in the Shadows, probably the only music YouTuber that I follow nowadays. Secret Galaxy, formerly Toy Galaxy. That's another good channel. There's also Pat Channington, but I'm not subscribed to him. I occasionally watch some of his videos every once in a while, but like I said, I'm not subscribed to him. And I think that's about it that I'm willing to share, at least. Speaking of YouTubers, Amy J asked me a similar question, but her question was, who's your favorite YouTuber and why is it Doug Walker? I don't watch Doug Walker nowadays. I mean, I used to be a fan of his work as the nostalgia critic, about 15 years ago? Yeah, roughly about 15 years ago. But I think it was around 2013. Yeah, I think it was around 2013 when I stopped watching this stuff. And that was before the whole change the channel controversy. I don't necessarily hate him, but just don't really care all that much about him nowadays. Unless it's a YouTube poop made out of one of his reviews. I'd probably watch that in a heartbeat. Amy also asks, why is her asshole sore? I don't know, maybe we should go see a doctor about this. Okay, this one is by Ryan YTP. He asks, any favorite VTubers outside of Hololive? I want to say 2, but I don't watch them all that much. One of I used to watch a lot of clips of her in the past, and that would be Iron Mouse. I do occasionally watch some of clips of her every once in a while. And the other one is Limalicious. I was introduced to her thanks to Juice, and yeah, she's adorable and funny. Also, her live 2D character model is incredibly expressive. Worth checking out. What is your favorite and least favorite movie? Here's the thing when it comes to me and movies. I don't watch a lot of movies, so I really don't have that much movies that I can say that I love or movies that I hate. With that said, if I'm gonna have to say a movie that I recently watched that I liked, I would say the original 1954 Godzilla. Worth checking out even if movies about giant monsters aren't your thing, because this is the first entry in the series, and it's more its tone is more serious and has a lot of allegories and metaphors that resonated with Japan back when this movie came out, and some of the messages in that movie still holds up to this day. Worth checking out. As for a worst movie I've ever seen, I wouldn't say it's the worst movie I've ever seen, but the last movie I've seen that I didn't enjoy watching, I think I can say the 2022's Morbius. It's one thing if you make a movie that's so insultingly bad that causes a raw negative emotion, but it's another thing if you make a movie that's so boring that makes you feel nothing, you know? And that's pretty much what Morbius is. Morbius is an incredibly boring movie. All those memes about Morbin time, that's just the internet gaslighting Sony. The movie's not good. It's not worth checking out. Skip it. Favorite Texas city? Dallas. Select. Can you say, I'm gonna read this in advance to make sure that I'm not being tricked into reading a slur or anything. Okay. Let's give this a try. Dilbro Squas Ikl Beerb Etela O Kuch Mit Teat Smup Nivid Mslip Fotol Staul Isudna Signaro Htu Eldrachstna Virchk Hit Tai. I sound like I'm speaking Phantomillion, or whatever. So there you go, uncracky poops. I said what you want me to say out loud. Oh, I love what is my myth. Nah, I'm good. I don't really have a question, I just want to be in the video for a small ego boost. Well, I guess you got your wish, Fry. There you go. Enjoy your ego boost. What do you want out of life? Honestly, not much. I just want to be loved by people in my life. And thankfully I can say I do have people who love me in real life. But I also would love to have a good circle of friends that I can almost consider as my own siblings. And I'm thankful that I have a few on the internet, but I wish I could have a few in real life. And finally, this last question by Stomper Yoshi. He asks, if you had all the free time in the world, what would you be interested in doing if anything else? Honestly, not much. I mean, aside from making YouTube poop, maybe play more video games? Or maybe I might get to video game reviewing. Cause ever since I stopped hosting my own video game podcast, aside from sharing some of my opinions on a few Discord server I'm on, I sometimes write a few reviews on my backlogged account. For a while I've been contemplating making a video game reviewing series, but I'm not sure if I have the time to do that. I would love to get into it though. I mean, I know a few people in the YTP community who got into video game reviewing, so I may give it a shot one day. Who knows? And I guess that's all the questions we've answered. Thank you for... Ooh! Wait. There's still one more question I haven't answered. And it's by Red Stinger. They ask, what is your favorite vegetable? Carrots? I like carrots. Broccoli's are nice too. Potatoes, I guess. Especially if you bake them, mash them, put them in a stew. Anyway, so yeah, I think I'm... I think I mentioned all my favorite vegetables. I think we can count onions. But yeah, I think... I hope I managed to answer your question, Red Singer. And that's it. I managed to answer all the questions that I got on both my Discord server and my comment section of my previous video. So, thank you so much for asking me all these questions, and most importantly, thank you for watching this video, if you managed to stick around for this long. And yeah, I'm so sorry this took so long to upload and produce, because a lot of things in real life happened that got in the way. Otherwise, this wouldn't have taken months to make. And yeah, look forward to any of my future videos that are coming later this year. So yeah, this is Serial, signing off. Take care everyone, and be nice to each other. Peace.